When I first started this show, I had this format where at the end of each episode, my girlfriend Christy would show up and critique whatever it was I was making that week. Sometimes she was kind. You okay? Sometimes not so much.
I think this is the worst thing you've ever.
It's her birthday, and her absolute favorite type of cake is red velvet. We have it every year. It's always a big hit. However, very important that it's covered in cream cheese frosting. It's her favorite part. Crucial for a happy birthday girl. So the game plan is simple. I'm going to make her favorite birthday cake, and we'll see what she thinks. Okay, I gotta get to work. So there are two parts to this recipe, the cake portion and the cream cheese frosting. We're gonna start this off with our cake. Butter, apple cider vinegar, 2 eggs, sugar, flour, baking soda, oh no, buttermilk, salt, vanilla, cocoa powder, and what makes it red food coloring. What we're gonna do is cream together the sugar and the butter. We're gonna add in the eggs one at a time. Beat them until they're mixed completely. Vanilla. In a separate bowl, cocoa powder with a vial of blood red food coloring. Now all I need is 2 tablespoons. I don't think I have enough food coloring. Not even remotely close. I had like 1/3 of the amount of food coloring I need. So I gotta go to the store. Are you kidding me? They don't have it in stock. Annoyingly, I had to buy a packet of 3 to get my red food coloring. I am slightly alarmed because adding the first vial of food coloring, I can't even notice a difference in this cocoa powder. That better have changed color, I cannot tell. Add this cocoa powder into our butter mixture. It's more purple than anything. It works. Now we gotta mix together the remaining dry ingredients. Some salt, baking powder. You're gonna need a sieve. Firstly, we need to, what the hell is that? We're gonna sift our flour. What the hell am I doing? So we're gonna add our remaining dry ingredients and buttermilk. But we're gonna do this strategically. I'm gonna add the flour and I'm gonna add the buttermilk while this thing is running. Add a little flour, buttermilk, flour, buttermilk, vinegar. Essentially, when you're making a red velvet cake, you have 3 cake pans, and you would transfer this batter evenly into those pans. I don't know why you'd have 3 cake pans in your house. It's not practical to me. But the problem is I don't even have one. So what I'm gonna do is take this rectangular pan, pour this batter into this, and make a red velvet sheet cake. Then what I'm gonna do is take this cake ring and I'm gonna cut out the pieces of cake. Oh, and then I need a third and I also have this pie dish. And I'm gonna also bake the third layer of this pie dish with this cake ring. Like so. It's all up here. I'm gonna brush some butter inside this pan. You're gonna take your leftover cocoa powder and you're gonna sprinkle it very evenly. Add our cake batter. So I have the oven preheated to 176 degrees Celsius. That in Fahrenheit is
348.8 degrees Fahrenheit.
I'm gonna put these 2 cake pans into the oven for 20 to 25 minutes. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Massive problems have arisen, and I think it has something to do with me putting too much into this little pipsqueak oven. It's crumbly, it's dry, it's sunk in the middle. Now, does this look like a cake you would want on your birthday? You and I both know what has to happen. I have to redo it. So I'm starting from scratch. I'm pressed for time. So I gotta do this fast. I gotta do this efficient. It's gotta work this time. So I'm trying a recipe that's just slightly different than the previous one. Be adding in my cocoa powder with the flour into the sieve, a teaspoon of salt, sieve it people, buttermilk, vanilla. Now it's a good thing I bought that extra food coloring. In a separate bowl, I'm gonna add my sugar and butter. Where's my mixer? Whew! Nice and fluffy. Add my eggs one at a time and repeat. Adding some of our dry ingredients. Fold this very slowly. Some of our wet mix. Fold more dry ingredients. The wet ingredients. Apple cider vinegar and baking soda. So I've greased up the sides of this baking dish. I've added a little flour around it too, and I've added parchment paper to the bottom. Now I'm gonna distribute my batter into this. Check out this new revised batter. This goes into the oven 20-25 minutes. If this doesn't work, I'm gonna have to buy a cake. Poke it, and nothing comes off. Nothing's coming off. My newly revised third layer into the oven. You're my only hope. Like I said at the beginning of this episode, Christy loves cream cheese frosting. The highlight of the cake for her. So I gotta get this right. There's only a few ingredients. Obviously, a little taste of heaven. Cream cheese, butter, and lots of icing sugar. Let the games begin. Sieve the icing sugar. Beat our butter and cream cheese. Now let's add our icing sugar a little bit at a time. Gâteau numéro 1, gâteau numéro 2. Yes, 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 yes. That cake looks scrumptious. I'm thinking right here. Take some of our icing and spread it onto the bottom layer of this cake. And what I'm doing is just completely covering this thing in icing. Like, no holds bar, just like happy frickin' birthday. Now we're gonna add our last piece on top. Not sure what's going on right now. I was assembling the cake, everything was fine, the cake was cooled off completely, the icing looked fantastic. I started putting everything together, and I noticed that the icing was melting. Even though the cake wasn't warm, but the icing was melting because I guess it was room temperature and the weight of the cake. I tried to remove as much icing as I could off the cake, put the cake into the refrigerator, put the icing into the freezer. The cakes are in okay shape right now. I don't know for how much longer they're gonna be in okay shape, so I gotta move fast. What I need to do is take the icing out of the freezer, put this all together as quickly as I can, and then put it back in the fridge like it never happened. First layer of icing is on the cake. Let's add the second piece. It broke a little, but it's okay. Let's get some more icing on top. The third piece on. Before I go any further, I'm gonna put this in the fridge, let this chill out for a bit. Nobody touched that cake. It's really firmed up. I have no fear about it toppling over the way it was earlier. I've also firmed up my icing just a little bit so that it's gonna be not much of a clusterfuck when I add it on here. want to get this into the fridge as soon as possible. I want this to set overnight so that it's ready for prime time tomorrow. Good night. It's the next day. I survived the evening. Before I can confidently say that this cake is done, there's a couple more things I have to do before I serve it. My leftover pieces of cake. I'm gonna grate some of this on top, make it look nice and pretty. Now I'm a bit more hesitant about this next task. Kind of makes me nervous. I want to transfer this whole thing to a nice clean plate. And if I screw this up, then it's all over. That was easier than I expected. It's cake time. Candles. Why don't you come over here? Happy birthday.
Oh my god. Is this cream cheese icing? Oh, is it chocolate?
No, it's not chocolate. It's supposed to be red velvet. It doesn't look red velvet.
No, it doesn't.
The cake turned out. Whew. Thankfully. She liked it, I think.
It's so good. It actually is amazing.
The cake was delicious. It tasted like a red velvet cake. The cream cheese icing was fantastic. However, there is one thing to note. Now I'm a bit confused myself, as you guys saw me add a whole lot of red food coloring into that batter. What the hell? It's more deep dark purple, borderline brown, chocolate looking. Where's that red? Maybe this is a lesson in investing in higher quality food coloring. Maybe not using the liquid, using the gel. There'll be other cakes. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching this episode. I always appreciate you guys stopping by. If you liked it, you can subscribe. You can like this video, you can comment down below. You can also head over to Instagram, say hello over there. You can tag me in some food photos if you want. I'd love to see what you guys are cooking. And okay, see you soon.